It has been a minute.
Yes, it has.
But we are back with a brand new edition of the Steam Room.
Man, it's been a minute.
Yeah, we had...
shout out to the Florida Gators. Congratulations on winning the championship. We've been gone for that.
Yeah,
shout
March
out to
Madness.
my boy Alex Hooverus, an underdog. Congratulations to the Florida Gators.
Look at you.
Yeah. Shout out. You got to be a good loser,
Taking
Ernie.
the high road. I like it.
That's right. You're taking the high road.
I like it.
Shout out to my Auburn boys. Love you guys. Thank y'all for getting us to the Final Four.
Loyal Steamers, thank you for hanging out and waiting for us to come back. We appreciate it. We're going to make this worth your while today. We really
100%.
are. Yeah. Eric Church is going to be joining us.
Yep.
Talk about his legendary career in country music and his new album coming out. So we look forward to that. Also, Mike Sielski from the Philadelphia Inquirer will join us. He's written a great book about the dunk.
You know what's so crazy about Mike?
What is?
Like, growing up, the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Philadelphia Daily News, were like my first taste of like real journalism. You know, because obviously we had growing up in a small town, we got the Leeds News, which was like 5 pages. The only thing that was good in it was like Jill's 2-for-1 hamburgers and 2-for-1 hot dogs.
Want a coupon?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cut that thing out.
And then we go around stealing the neighbors' newspapers so we can get like 10 hot dogs. It was great. It was great. You got 2 hot dogs for $1, 2 hamburgers for $1, a place called Jill's. And we'd go steal other people's newspaper. It was great. And then on the weekend, we'd go and just buy hot dogs and hamburgers all weekend for like $1.
What an incredible... I had no idea. I learned something new about you every day.
That's right.
That's Charles Barkley, by the way. I'm Ernie Johnson. Thank you for being with us. And we begin each episode. I'm trying to recall how we begin each episode. It's been so long. Oh, yeah. It's first of all.
Yeah, this is going to be a little deep today, man. I just got some on my heart I need to share. You know, I'm 62. And I grew up in Alabama, and people my entire life have tried to make me be racist, whether you're white or black. And there's some stuff going on I want to address. My grandmother, the greatest person ever in my life, says, Charles, I want you to remember something. Growing up here in Alabama, there is racism. And that's sad and it's stupid and it's unfortunate. But I don't ever want you to be racist. Because the one thing you need to learn that you're going to meet some of the most incredible white people in your life. And you're going to meet some of the most full of black people in your life. And she said, judge people by who they are. And I just want people to know, y'all ain't never going to win being a racist. I ain't never gonna have that in my soul and my heart. I'm gonna always try to keep my mind in a place where I'm gonna judge people. I'm very aware racism exists, always has and always will. But I want y'all to know, y'all ain't never gonna win, never gonna win. And the reason I say that is, so y'all know I hate social media. I only joined Instagram because I have a vodka and a gin and I want to get some exposure, but I go through the reels all the time. Not all the time. I do it, and I don't ever comment or listen to people's comments, so don't waste your time commenting back at me. But I've been reading all the comments on the Carmelo Anthony situation down in Texas about the young black kid who stabbed a young white kid in the heart. And the reason I just got on social media in the last year or so is because I thought it was full of people who were scumbags and idiots and people who are full of And you know what? I was right. Everything is about race. It's always somebody else's fault. And it bothers me because y'all people just walking around and y'all just pausing people's hearts. Y'all pausing people's mind. I'm going to say this again. If you're a racist, whether you're black or white, you're just an ass. I never have a double standard. Like if you're in the Klan, you're an ass. And if you're one of these black people who out here and like everything's always white people's fault, you're an ass. too. Man, I ain't never gonna let y'all win. I ain't never gonna be racist. It was wrong in all those days, and it's wrong now. And it just really bothers me listening to some of you people, like, never taking any personal responsibility. Everything happens to you. You just hate black people, or if you're a black person, you just hate all white people. It just bothers me. And I just had to say, like, if you actually go to my Instagram page, I only repost stuff, only positive stuff. I only post positive stuff because I ain't never gonna be negative. It don't.
What in particular pierced you on this one that said, "Oh man"?
Well, the black people, like, he's first of all, there's some great black people. That's this dude named Mead. I post the people I think, but it's like, well, if a white person touch you, you have the right to stab them in the heart. Or I'm not even going to condemn. The only person to me who been amazing in this whole thing is the kid's father. He's like, I forgive the kid. He stabbed his 18-year-old son in the heart, and he said, I forgive the kid. Then you got the black people over here saying he deserved it because the kid was sitting where he wasn't supposed. Like, come on, man. We all lose as a society. I always say this: anytime you put a racial situation out here into the abyss, what the world is, everybody is gonna be, the stupid people gonna come out and be loud and boisterous.
Why is it, Chuck? Why is it that in your mind that something happens and it's immediately cast in a racial light?
Well, because it's like those fools who cheer when OJ got off for murdering those two people. People protect their tribe. Instead of holding their tribe accountable, they just like, oh, they're attacking my tribe, I've got to protect my guy. Like, no, we don't have to protect OJ. He killed those two people. No, he should have went to jail. That's what he should have did. But people need a reason why they're not successful. And it's such easy to blame. Well, the reason I'm not, white people do this some, they're like, well, the reason I'm not successful because of affirmative action or immigration. The reason you're not successful because you're lazy and haven't did your homework. It's not because a black person took your job or an immigrant took your job. And then there's black people on the other side. Like, you're not successful because of racism. Yeah, I do. Obviously, racism exists. Systematic racism exists. But you have to take some personal responsibility for the situation you put yourself in. And man, I just get so sick and tired of people just blaming everything on race. Man, a young kid got killed. A young black kid, his life has changed forever. I don't know what's gonna happen. And I just know this. I just hate giving people, the internet, giving people a platform to be racist, homophobic, and things like that. Obviously I have been really, I talk about my gay friends all the time. I got nothing but love and respect for gay people. That's their own business. Ain't got nothing to do with me. But some of this homophobic stuff out here now, and I just had to vent today, man, because ain't no form of racism correct. Whether you're white, black, Hispanic, whatever, Muslim, whatever. If you're racist, you're just an ass, plain and simple. So I just had to say that because, like I say, if you go to my Instagram page, man, I catch myself only putting positive stuff out there, and I was scared to go on the internet because, like, I don't want people able to access me. I told my girl Victoria, who handles all that stuff, I said, if you bring me one comment from one of these idiots, you gonna get fired. I said, I don't have time to talk to them. I said, we're only putting positive stuff on the page because the internet is what I thought it was. It's a bunch of idiots, fools, and scumbags out there. But I just want to say this to the good people. Don't ever let them win, man. Don't ever let them win. Always do positive stuff. That doesn't mean I'm perfect now. I made a lot of mistakes. But never give in to racism, homophobic, all this BS. Never give in. That's all I ask you. Always try to look at everybody in their own individual heart. That's it.
The thing you point out about social media, Chuckster, is if you do, and I'm the same way as you are in terms of responding to folks. If they, it's like you don't need to, because then it's like,
I got his attention.
Look, yeah, and
they better not never bring me some comments ever, or I said, hey, you're fired.
Hey,
I said, I'm gonna say stuff that I want to say. People can like it or dislike it, but if you bring me these comments, because some of these people, man, they're just awful people. They're just awful people, plain and simple. And you kind of feel bad. You're like, what kind of miserable life is that person living? Like, because there's no way you can be that much of an ass and it don't carry in your everyday life. You can't go and be an upstanding citizen if you're that evil, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
I can tell that's been eating at you.
It has been.
Yeah.
And I've been just scrolling for 3 weeks since we've been gone for March Madness. So I've been scrolling.
And here I was thinking you were going to talk about the Masters.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen.
It did not.
But congratulations to Rory McIlroy.
Congratulations, Rory McIlroy. Great kid. Great kid, man. That was so nerve-wracking. That was nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Imagine you're the one trying to protect the lead.
I know. Hey,
I
got to work with Rory when I see him. I was like, yo, man, on that 13th hole, you had to hit that. There's a backstop over there.
Yeah.
You got to hit it to the left of that peg. You can that pin. You cannot go to the right of that pin, no matter what.
Then it's a birdie putt or 2-putt par. When you're still up 3 or 4. So there you go. And I'm sure he would have taken your advice.
That's exactly right.
We are underway in the steam room.
Big day today.
It is a big day, and you fans of Eric Church want to stick around because he's coming up next here on the steam room.
Oh yeah.
I knew that this would be a guest that you cannot wait to talk to him, and me too.
Yeah.
Because we're both big fans. We both realize that for the last 20 years, this guy has been putting out albums, number one country hits.
And I'm going through my country stage right now.
Is it still a stage when it's been years? It's not a stage anymore.
I will admit we had. Right now I'm going through my Dan and Shay stage.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I'm just all over the place in country music right now.
Yeah.
So this is a big day for me. We had Dan and Shay on earlier this year, obviously. This is just a good a treat today.
Eric Church joins us here in the steam room, and we so appreciate you taking the time. We have only one rule in the steam room, and that is keep your towel on, if at all possible.
Okay.
All right.
I've got it on below right here. I've got it on. So.
Eric, I'm gonna ask you the first question. You've been doing this for 20 years. When did country? I asked Dan and Shay this. When did country become like really, really cool? Like, because right now, all you guys are on fire for a while now, obviously. But when is it in your career that you felt like country music is the thing?
I mean, Chuck, what I would say there is country to me is, keep in mind, we are the format that has Johnny Cash. We have Waylon Jennings. We have Merle Haggard, who's behind me here on the wall. We've always been cool. We just forget that sometimes, throughout history. And it's still the home of the singer-songwriter. It's still the home of the troubadour. So I think it's always been cool. It just hasn't always been good. And there are times, and now it's popular now. Even hip hop and pop acts are coming in the country world, and that's fun. But I would argue that we've always been that. We've always been cool, and we've always represented kind of. I always joke that New York and L.A. focuses on New York and L.A., but country music is all that land between New York and L.A. and it's the music of the common people.
But actually, your answer actually helped me. I guess the way I was want to phrase it better was when you named all those guys. See, growing up in Alabama, we had to listen to country music. We had to do NASCAR and country music. But your answer was interesting because it used to be all the old guys you mentioned. I guess my question better phrased it, when did all you young guys started doing country? Because it used to be all the old guys you mentioned, but now all the young guys, and well, you're not a young guy anymore, but all the guys,
No.
yeah.
Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate
Hey,
that.
47 is comparatively young when you and I are sitting here.
That's a good point.
Yes.
But when did all the young guys, yourself included, started thinking like, yeah, this is a thing?
I mean, I think it's been a thing. What you'll find though, Chuck, is like it's been a thing at different times, right? Like there's different, like it's just like any musical thing. It goes through, it's popular and then it's not popular. It's not as popular. The biggest thing for me, I can speak for me in my career that it's always been pretty important to me that we understand that I believe we're the most unique format. We're the format that has always been the most consistent. A lot of other formats, even rock and roll, it moved around a lot. And I think country music has always been the most consistent format. And it's been the biggest megaphone for the working man, the common man. And that's kind of where when even though I've been doing it, as you said, a long time, and you can see there's a lot of gray up here now. But I think that's the thing that I try to stay true to. And you know this in basketball, once you've done it a long time at a high level, there is a point that happens where you're thinking about the history of the game. You're thinking about honoring the history of the game. And for me, it's always been about honoring the history of music, the history of country music, and making sure when I make an album that I'm proud that album can hang on the wall beside the Johnny Cashes and the Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson and those guys.
Along those lines, doing the math in my head, let's go back 34 years or so, and you buy your first guitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right around 13 or something like that, you bought your first guitar. With the thought, what, this is going to be great for picking up girls, or this is going to be my career?
No, girls. Yeah. I think at that time, it was, and it worked, by the way, Ernie. It worked. The girls really like guitars, okay? I'm just going to put that out there. But I think when I started this, I was writing songs at 13, and it would be like I would hear these melodies in my head and started and they were terrible songs, just terrible. As Chuck would say, terrible. But they were really bad. And I got a guitar and kind of taught myself how to play it. But by the time I got to college, I started a band. My grades were terrible. But I started getting, I started learning kind of what it was to be out there and be a troubadour and go place to place and play music. And so the guitar for me, it wasn't ever something that I picked up a guitar and thought, I'm going to get to do this for a living. Never. It was really, I said to many people that, I would, whatever job, if I didn't have this job, whatever job I had, when I came home at the end of that day and I had punched the clock, I'd grab a guitar and sit on the porch and play guitars. So I just love doing it. And it didn't matter that ended up being what I made a living at. I would have done it anyway.
Kind of as a follow-up to that, back in those days, when you weren't playing huge venues and sold out auditoriums and stadiums and arenas, what's your go-to story about starting out and playing a dive bar and trying to survive that? And what's your go-to story about this was happening in the crowd while I was trying to play this?
I've got a bunch of those, but my first one, my first gig was at a place called Woodlands Barbecue in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, and I got the coveted Monday night spot at 6 p.m. Everybody wants that. And I went down, and I knew I was probably 18 maybe, and I knew 12 songs. Okay, I learned 12 songs. In my head, they told me you're going to play a set and you're going to take a break. And my head, everybody's going to leave the bar and they're going to change the bar over, and I'm going to do this from 6 to 10. And I got there at 6, and I played my 12 songs. And at the end of that, I said, I'm going to take a break. Nobody left. So I came back out for the second set. I didn't know anything but those 12 songs.
Just do them in a different order.
Yeah, right. I didn't know whether we go backwards. That's all I had. So I was actually honest with them, and I said, "Listen, tonight's my first gig, and if you guys will permit me to come back next week, anything you write on a napkin tonight, I promise that I'll learn by the time I'm here next Monday night." And now there were some interesting things. I had to think about how to play "Like a Virgin" by Madonna. But that was a learning experience for me. But honestly, that's in the world we live in now. You have all these reality TV shows and TikTok, and when I came up, you had to come up in the bars and the clubs, and you had to go through things like that, and you had to watch people fight in the crowd, and you had to earn it. And now you can go on, nothing against it. Like, I understand times change, and I don't want to be the old guy yelling at clouds, but there is something to that when you really put in the work and you really earn it. When the time comes that the moment is big, you feel like you belong there. And I think what happens a lot of times now is a lot of the younger artists skip that step. So I'm happy that I had that step.
No, I'm with you totally on that, and it same goes true in our business, because I talk to journalism students all the time and say, look, back when I was graduating, it was go to a small station, do this. It's the only way you're going to be seen, and it's totally changed. So again, I don't want to be the one to say you have to do it my way, but it does give you an appreciation for that, and every step along the way makes you the person or the performer that you are now. Chuckster, go ahead.
Well, I always tell kids, man, listen to old people. I know you think old people are full of I said, but because everybody thinks, even when it comes to your parents, I say, yo, man, listen to your parents. Your parents aren't deliberately trying to be a pain in the ass. They're trying to not make some of the stupid mistakes they made or people around them made. But to his point, kids, like, they think old people, like, anytime we say anything like, oh, you're just an old get off my lawn person, I'm like, nah, I've actually seen this movie. I know how it's going to end. I'm trying to help you. I want you to be successful. I tell kids, man, listen to old people. We've seen a lot. But they think that we're like, oh, you just jealous or trying to hold me down. But Eric, I want to ask you this question. When did you know you made it?
Oh, that's a really good question. I get that question some. I don't know that, and I've got a bunch of younger, I'll phrase it this way. I'll phrase my answer this way. I've got a bunch of younger artists now that I've become kind of their guy. That's their, I don't know, the person they've listened to growing up, which is always a humbling experience, when you meet a new artist and they're like, I've been listening to you since my dad listened to you when I was 3. That's always fun. My father's a big fan, but I think for me it was there was a moment around our biggest album was in 2011. We had an album called Chief, and it became a really big album. And there was a night that it was the first time we had played any stadiums, and we were actually playing a stadium. And I remember looking out at all the 60,000 people, and up until I remember this moment because I kept thinking, keep grinding. You're going to keep grinding, keep doing, and like you're standing there and all the people are singing your song back to you. And I remember having this moment of, how the hell did this just happen? And so I think for me, it's always been a continual thing though, but making it is different people in different parts of their journey musically make it in different ways. I mean, you don't have to play a stadium to feel like you've made it, and it's a hell of a business. I'll equate it a little bit to the sports world. You have a better chance of being an all-star in a major league sports world than you do performing at a high level and having success in the music business, just based on numbers, just based on what it takes, right? I mean, you have a better chance, and you don't have, that's not a great chance to be an all-star in these sports. And so it's hard. So there's a lot of people that make it in different ways. But for me, it was just, I remember that moment that I was just standing there watching this stadium full of people sing the song. They just took over the chorus of the song, and I just kind of put the mic down and they sang it back to me. And I remember going, what is this? I was gobsmacked by it. But
so we were talking
back to your thing, not to interrupt, but back to your thing. It was some of your we were talking about the journey and everything, and I'm gonna kind of tie this into to sports here. Is you can look at, and Chuck, you know this, Ernie, you know this. You can see the younger players now. We got NIL. They come out of high school. They're not very skilled. They're talented, and a lot of them end up getting high draft pick, but they can't go left.
Yeah.
Or they can't guard. So it's about, did you do the work? Did you work that entire time? Did you earn your bones? So when the time comes and you're staring at whoever you're staring at, across guarding whoever, that you've earned it and you've worked it. And it's the same thing in music as it is in sports that way. I still believe that putting in the work and putting in the time and putting in the hours, you just can't skip steps, because eventually those steps are that skipping steps is going to end up hurting you.
Preach.
You said, we were having a little conversation before we got on camera. You said, and we all go, I've been through it, and it's crazy. Like, you're the new thing, you are the thing, and then you are on the backside of your career. What advice would you give the new kid on the block? What advice would you give the new kid on the block when you're the newcomer?
Yeah, I would say ignore, success is so fleeting. And I've said this to a lot of the new kids, is they get caught up in, well, I've got the #1 record, or I've got the biggest tour. And I've had that. And it's difference between being hot and good. And what I've always said to them is, make sure you continue to invest in the craft, to see the long game, see the big picture. You want to do this for 4 years and be gimmicky and have the biggest record in 2025 and nobody knows who you are in 2028? Or do you want to commit to the craft and be around for 30 years? And I think that just goes back to knowing the kind of artist you are, and knowing, if you know where you're going, the end game, if you see the end, only you know how to get there, and only you know how to take everybody else there. And it takes a village to get to do what we do for a living for a long time.
Do you ever, I hope you realize, and I'm sure you do after this long, Eric, what you do for people. I mean, when I think about sports as an escape from the day-to-day, music is the same way, and going to a live show is the same way. I mean, I don't care who you're seeing. I saw Buffett about 6 times, and it's impossible not to walk away from there with a smile. Or Drew Holcomb, I saw at the Ryman. And it's like, those moments are so vital just to the way we survive day to day. You need that respite. You need that that break. And how does that make you feel? Have you ever lost sight of the fact that it really is kind of a public service to folks what you're doing?
Well, I think for me, I mean, Ernie, that's what I get from music. I mean, escapism. I mean, what you said there is dead on. That's exactly what music has always provided me. In my highest moments, in my lowest moments, I'll turn to music. Maybe a little whiskey if it's really bad. But that's what I'll turn to. And so I guess. I don't know that I overly think about that as I'm doing it, but I know you mentioned Buffett. I've been on that lawn in Raleigh, North Carolina. I have done fins to the left and fins to the right. So I've done it, and that's what music has provided me. And I think back to what we were talking about this entire time is knowing the history and honoring the history is the one thing that I think is really important. Doesn't matter if it's basketball, football, music. It's about honoring and knowing the people that came before you, knowing who they were, knowing what they were about, and then putting out a product that they would be proud of. I mean, the number of times that I've been near finishing an album and I thought, "Would Johnny Cash like this?" Mm-hmm. And I think that's important. No matter what you're doing, because you have such respect for the history of it that you want to honor where the future goes.
You mentioned Johnny Cash a few times. Have you ever been, who's the most awestruck you ever been when you met?
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, I was playing a show and Bruce just has it's like an aura. And I was playing a show in New York, Madison Square Garden with him. And my wife, we've been married the entire time I've been doing this and before, and she never gets like awestruck or nobody really impresses her. And, Bruce comes out and I didn't meet him beforehand. So the only time I got to meet him is when we were on stage together.
Wow.
And I remember he kind of came off stage. We've since become friends, but this is the first time. And he was standing side stage, just like the first time, and she's standing beside me and she's real quiet and Bruce is standing on the other side. And I said, "You okay?" And I kind of leaned over and she whispers in my ear. She goes, "Holy, that's Bruce Springsteen." I said, "Indeed it is." So that was a big one for me. And I've had a few moments like that, but I think, that was one I'll never forget being, at Madison Square Garden and having that happen.
How about the relationship you have with Michael Jordan? Tell me how that started, and tell me what that is like.
Well, we're both Tar Heels. I'm a big Tar Heel, which Chuck I know will love to hear. But by the way, I was pulling pretty hard for Auburn in the tournament there. That's the only bullet I had left in the gun. Whoever can take out Duke, guys, whatever.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but no, MJ and I really kind of. I play golf down at his club in Florida, and I'm down there, and we just kind of started, hanging out a little bit. We opened a bar in Nashville called Chiefs, and he came up there, and then he kind of got me into being an owner with the Hornets. He was selling his stake and wanted some local people from North Carolina that would, represent a percentage of the Hornets. So I did that. And since then we've been on a couple trips together and hung out together, and it's been a lot of fun. He and Yvette are both great, and just kind of going through that, which to me was childhood hero. I mean, I'm born in '77, so 87 to 93, 4, they were pretty good, yeah. And he was pretty good, and Chuck, you were pretty good too.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was an indelible time for me. So it's been great getting to know Mike and just being able to hang with him and see him really as a person, like as someone that we can sit on a beach beside each other and drink Sincoro.
Hey, what does golf mean to you?
So golf for me, I've said this many times. I've done a lot of different things in my career, and one when I've tried to raise money or I've thought about the people that have been there to help me, I've always met those people on a golf course. And I think being with somebody for 4 or 5 hours is the real key there. There's no other sport that involves that much time and getting to know them. And that's what I love about golf. I'm not a great golfer, but I do it because I like to be out there and with the people. And some of the closest friends I have, I met them for the first time on the first tee. And by the time we got to 18, we were friends forever. And I think the relationship part of golf is my favorite.
You know, it's interesting you said it. I never thought about it like that because we just go out there and giggles with our friends, and most of them are has-been jock. But what you said was like, it is probably the most time. There's no other sport that you spend 4 hours or more with random strangers and you get to know them. I never even thought about it like that because like I'm always playing with my friends, and they obviously they're great friends. But the time thing he said was so cool to me. Like you spend 4.5, 5 hours with a random stranger, you're either gonna like them or dislike them.
I was going to say, Chuckster, it can lead to a lifelong friendship, or it can be, I never want to see that dude again.
Well, Ernie, the great thing about golf though is if it leads to the other, you usually know by the first green.
Yes,
like
indeed.
You usually play one and you're like, I don't like this cat. You're moving on.
That's why I don't.
I've been there. I know.
You know what's so funny? Like people always ask me why I don't play with strangers. I says, let me tell you something. If I'm gonna spend all that time with a guy who's an asshole, I'm not gonna enjoy it. So I normally I said, yo man, don't. And I have very strict rules with my friends too. I was like, yo man, if you bring somebody, they better be cool. Because the last thing I want to spend 4
Well, in their mind, yeah, this guy's cool.
Yeah, he's cool for you. He's not cool for me. Yeah. I'm like, yo man, I'm not gonna answer every basketball question you ask me for 5 hours. Quit asking me basketball questions. Yeah, Patrick Ewing's a nice guy. Larry Bird was a great player. Matthew Johnson was a great player. You've asked me about every player in the NBA for the first 6 holes, and we still got 3 hours to go. I don't want that.
Yeah. I totally, Chuck, I totally get it from the music side too. Like, you get out there and people want to know, tell me about this album or this record or this song. And I'm like, so, but you also have the guys that, because it's that long, you actually get to know them. And any time that I've had something in my life or career where I've tried to raise money for something or tried to help people, it's usually the people that I met on the golf course that I can call and go, hey, I'm trying to do this, and they're there. So it's just it's an interesting dynamic of people that I don't think I would have ever, there's no chance in what I do for a living that I would have ran into some of the CEOs and guys that are now I call friends unless I played golf with them.
What'd be the dream foursome for you?
Dream foursome would be...
because you've played with some guys.
I was going to say I've had a few dream foursomes. Yeah, I think. Okay, my dream foursome would be. I think I would probably. I got to keep it with thematically. So I would do Bobby Jones. I would have wanted to play Bobby Jones. I would have wanted to play with Walter Hagen, and I'd have wanted to play with Arnold Palmer.
Wow, that's pretty good. So
I would keep it with golfers because I played with Jack Nicklaus and was awesome. I actually had the chance to. One of the memories I have from my childhood is the '86 Masters when
yes,
Jack.
Sir.
Right. Yes, right. That's right. Yes, sir. Vern. Yes, sir. So I remember that moment as a child. I would have been 9, and I remember sitting beside my dad, and I saw how much that meant to him. And so about 5 or 6 years ago, I got a chance to take my dad down to Bears Club in Florida, and I surprised him. I brought him down, and we played with Jack.
Wow.
And it was just a great thing to be able to do. And I think that would be I'd never met or played with any of those guys, so I think that would be something that would be fun.
Yeah, I've met Mr. Nicklaus, I think 4 or 5 times, and I'm always in awe. I mean, it's like, wow. And he is such a kind person. And you're like, wow. So you talk a lot about charity. What's your number one charitable thing you try to raise money for?
Well, we have a thing called Chief Cares. So when Hurricane Helene happened, I'm from Western North Carolina, and when Hurricane Helene happened there, um, everything that I am, and every record, every song has happened. I have either written or recorded in the mountains of North Carolina. That is where, in a busy world that I'm always traveling or there's a lot of noise, that's where my soul's at rest. So when Hurricane Helene happened, the entire area that I knew as my touchstone, my North Star, was destroyed, just decimated. So Luke Holmes and I did a concert in Charlotte, and we raised a bunch of money. And my mission is we're building homes for people in Western North Carolina. We just broke ground on the first 45 families, but my goal is to end up building 200-300 homes for the people of Western North Carolina, because what I found, and you guys will know this, in America, we do pretty good at like the 911, the water and the diapers. And then once we get past that point, we don't do really good at keeping people in their community. We end up moving them somewhere to house them. We displace them. But the heart of the community, what makes a community the community, are the people. And we came up with a mission at Chief Cares called the Blueprint for the Blue Ridge. And we want to keep people in their community. We want to keep them near their church. We want to keep them near their school. We want to keep them near grandma. And that is the real strength of how to rebuild these communities. So we've made it a mission to build homes and put people in homes in their home.
Raised nearly $25 million with that benefit concert. We should remind you as we wrap things up with Eric that 2 weeks from now, his 8th album drops, Evangeline versus the Machine.
Evangeline versus the Machine?
Yeah, and there's already a single out called Hands of Time, which is awesome. So check it out in advance of the album coming out on May 2nd.
Evangeline versus the Machine.
Yep. Don't look at me like, what's that mean? You've got the guy who's...
I can. So everybody is like, I would explain that more. I just can't yet.
Yeah.
It's based on the time, because there's a lot of fans and stuff. There is a direct meaning for that. And I will only tell you that as someone who's been doing this a long time, as we've talked about, and with young kids, everything I look at today involves, kids on iPads and kids doing whatever they do on machines. And it's a little bit of a crux between creativity versus the machine that tries to manipulate that creativity. And that's really, I won't go deeper than that, but that's the 50,000 foot view of what it is.
That's a good tease for us. And by the way, if you're ever in Nashville, folks, which is a great city,
one of the most underrated cities in the world,
go to Chiefs. It's second in Broadway, as I can see from the hoodie being worn by Eric Church.
It used to be one of the best kept secrets.
It ain't a secret.
World. It ain't a secret anymore.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
No, it's growing like crazy, and I've seen it grow like crazy. But it's fun. It's a great city, a great place. Chiefs is a great place. So yeah, Ernie, Chuck, you guys are in town. Come on down. I'll go with you.
We're there. We're there. Hey, thanks so much for the time.
Yes,
we could go on for a
versus
long.
a Machine.
We could go on for a long time here, man. There's so much good stuff.
You're going to forget everything. Two things. You're going to forget everything that's happened today, but you're going to remember Evangeline versus Machine. You're going to mow down.
You're right.
After you've mowed down your dinner, okay? You don't eat all day, but then you're going to mow down dinner. Hide the kids, hide the old people. I'm eating dinner, right? You're going to mow it down.
My one meal a day. My one meal.
That's a pretty good read on the Chuckster right there. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Evangeline versus Machine.
There
That's
you
pretty
go.
Cool. That's awesome.
We welcome you back inside the steam room.
Yes.
I'm going to spend a few minutes with Mike Sielski of the Philadelphia Inquirer, who's written this book, Magic in the Air, and it's all about the dunk.
Hey, so Mike, before we get to the book, where do you live at in Philly?
I'm north of the city, Charles. I'm in Bucks County.
Okay.
And by the way, the only rule of the steam room, if you could abide by this, please, is keep your towel on.
No worries. No worries. I've heard some stories about Charles in the locker room over the years, so trust me, I will keep my towel on.
Oh, okay. I guess we're going to be spending more time than we thought with Mike.
I like it.
Tell me the idea behind the book, because there are some fascinating stories in here, and it's not like here's a story about the dunk contest. This is the story of the dunk, when the dunk was illegal, who did it best. Great backstories on some of the great dunkers we've ever seen. What was the genesis of the idea for you, Mike?
Thanks, EJ. So yeah, I did a biography of Kobe a couple of years ago, kind of his origin story, and I was hunting around for ideas to do another book, and I wanted it to be about hoops. And I thought, if there were an interesting way for me to tell kind of the history of basketball through like a particular angle or way to think about it, I thought that'd be pretty cool. And the more I thought about the big figures and the big moments in the sport, the more I realized that most of them were tied to guys who played above the rim, whether you were talking about Michael, Dr. J, David Thompson, Wilt, and Russell. And then the thing that really hooked me was the fact that the dunk had been banned in high school and college basketball for 9 years, from 1967 to 76. And I don't know if you guys feel this way. Sometimes you read something or learn a fact and you just kind of take it for granted because you read it so often. And I felt that way about the ban. It was like, oh, they just did it because of Lou Alcindor or Kareem. And, that's what it was. And it was like, well, wait a minute. Like, somebody had to decide to do this and make this stupid decision that nobody in college basketball could dunk the ball. So how did that happen? And then once I started digging into that, I realized I had a book idea on my hands.
Wait. So obviously I know about the ban. Why was Kareem, Lou Alcindor, was he the reason they banned or Wilt or whatever? What was that? Did you ever find out the actual reason they banned the dunk?
Well, the reasons they gave at the time, Charles, were, it'll save money. All these players are shattering backboards and breaking rims, and it's unsafe. But let's be honest about what was really going on here. Number one, Lou Alcindor comes to UCLA and totally dominates. Number two, Texas Western beats Kentucky in the national championship game in 1966. The first team to win a national title with 5 black starters. Mm-hmm. They beat Adolph Rupp and Kentucky, an all-white team, whose best player, by the way, Pat Riley. And you had all these black players bubbling up from the playgrounds and cities of America who were taking over the sport. And the people who had their hands on the levers of power said, you know what? We got to try to slow this down. Wow. And so they thought the best way to do that would be to ban the dunk. And there was actually an organization called, I can't believe this, the National Basketball Committee that voted to ban the dunk. So Alcindor, final 2 years at UCLA, can't dunk. David Thompson, his entire career at NC State, best player in ACC history, can't dunk. I mean, it is the all-time dumbest decision for the stupidest, most insidious reasons you can imagine.
I have, Chuckster, you're going to enjoy this because Mike has a great description of you in this book. Charles Barkley, part caterpillar, caterpillar being those big trucks, those big,
I think he was talking about that little animal.
No, not the animal.
Not the little animal.
Part caterpillar, part Harley, off-roading down the court and hammering down a two-handed slam. Have you heard that before? It's a great description, Mike.
Well, you know what's interesting about that? My hands are so small. That's one of the reasons when we talk about dunks, they had this stupid rule a few years ago. They said, when they spin the wheel, and you get
that was a forgettable All-Star weekend.
Well,
yes.
because
it sure was.
Yeah, but I said that's not really fair. The reason I dunked with 2 hands, I couldn't palm the ball. That's the only reason. And I'm a 2-leg jumper. The reason I said that, I said this is the stupidest idea ever, because depending on if a guy, if a 1-leg jumper or a 2-leg jumper, if they spin that stupid ass wheel and they can't, and I says that's just grossly unfair, because I'm a 2-legged jumper, but I only dunked with two hands because my hands are so small. I couldn't palm a basketball.
Yeah.
And people don't, I said, that's the only reason.
Ernie, you mentioned one of the 2 times that Chuck is in the book. The other time he's in the book is the chapter about the 1988 dunk contest, which to me is like the dunk's pinnacle. That's as good as it ever got. That was Michael against Dominique Wilkins at Chicago Stadium.
Is that one of the 2 times that Dominique got robbed?
Yes, it is. He should have won that contest. It shouldn't have been close. He was, no offense to Michael, but he was better than Michael. And Michael did the foul line dunk and won because he had the home court advantage. But Charles didn't participate in that contest. I quoted him from the Times saying, hey, I can do every dunk in the book, but I just don't feel the need to be there for the contest.
You know,
Oh, yeah. Explain yourself there, Biggin.
I wasn't, because because my next question about, I was going to ask Mike, because I haven't checked the book out, did he differentiate between in-game dunks and dunk contests, which are 2 different things?
I know, but are you dodging the question?
I was a better in-game dunker than like trying to do something like in a contest. That's the reason I never got in a dunk contest. Ernie, dunking in a game and dunking in a contest are night and day.
You're not telling me anything on that. I just you had a chance to be in the dunk contest.
I was not a good dunk contest guy.
Oh, okay.
I
got you. But
okay.
Although you can do all the dunks.
Not all of them. I can't jump from the free throw line.
Right.
I can't do that.
Oh, you could. You just wouldn't get to the rim.
This is the only reason I wanted to do this podcast, was to put Charles on the spot.
There you go.
No, that doesn't bother. Hey, Mike, you're my Philly guy. We're good. So I'd be remiss. People ask me about 2 things: the Sixers and Phoenix, because I live in Arizona, but I live in Philadelphia during the summer. What are we going to do about my Sixers?
Great question, man. I mean, look, Joel Embiid's going to try to play, I think. Paul George looked like he didn't try to play this season. I mean, those 2 guys take up so much under the salary cap for them that it's really going to handicap them in terms of the moves they can make. Daryl Morey said this the other day. Basically it was championship or bust.
Well, it's definitely bust.
And it's bust. Bust. You're absolutely right. It's bust.
Listen, if you don't even make the play-in tournament, I think we can just say that's a resounding bust.
Yeah. That's the absolute truth, Charles. Look, I've been here forever. I was here at the dawn of the process. I was somebody who thought that in theory, the process made a lot of sense. You're going to clear the decks and start fresh. But man, it's been 11, 12 years since then. And here we are. And the franchise is right back where it started.
Back to the book for just a second before we let you bounce. Here's because what's cool is you can read stories here, Chuckster. And it's like, man, I thought I'd heard every story that's out there. But you remember Bob Beamon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
The long
1968
jump
Olympics
champ.
at Mexico City, long jump champion. So tell me about Julius Erving and Bob Beamon crossing paths and what happened there.
So in the summer of '68, Julius Erving is a senior in high school, Roosevelt High School in Long Island. He's playing pickup games with his buddies, and he goes to one gym, and they tell him, Julie, there's this guy, Bob, who's dominating everybody. You need to get in here and play and shut this guy down. And so Julius's team is playing against Bob's team. Shot goes up, hits the back of the rim. Both Julius and Bob go up to try to grab the rebound, and Julius goes a little bit higher and slams the ball down on the way down over Bob. And Bob turns out to be Bob Beamon, who 2 months later sets the world record in the long jump at the 1968 Olympics. And when I heard that story, guys, I'm like, this is the best thing I'm going to uncover in this book. And I ended up talking to Julius about it. And later on in our interview, I actually got him to curse, which I consider like my greatest achievement in my writing career, is that I got Julius Erving to curse. I asked him about Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and, the idea that those guys really saved the NBA. And Julius was like, yeah, that's BS. Don't worry about that. So it was pretty cool.
What was the most, he's probably got a lot of significance part. What was one of the cooler moments that you came up with in the book that nobody knows about?
Ah, that's a great question. So there's the first NBA dunk contest of all time, which was won by Darnell Hillman, who was a great player for the Pacers.
That's the ABA one, right?
No, Julius won the ABA one, but the Pacers were in the NBA in '77. And Darnell Hillman won it, and the Pacers had actually traded him to the Nets, and he didn't report to the Nets. So he had already committed to be in the contest. So he won the first dunk contest without actually technically being an NBA player. If you go back and find video of it, he's wearing a T-shirt with from the liquor store that sponsored the softball team he played on. It says Bottle Shop across his chest. And they had the dunk contest during halftime of Game 6 of the finals between the Sixers and the Trailblazers. It was so honky-tonk. It was great. And Hillman won it, and then 7 years later, they restarted it again in the NBA.
Great stuff.
That's crazy.
That is just a couple of examples.
But he said Bottle Shop?
Yeah. The Bottle Shop liquor store outside Indianapolis. That's where that was sponsoring. He played for their softball team, and so he wore their T-shirt during the dunk contest.
That's classic. Again, just an example. These stories that Mike has shared today with what you're going to find in the pages of Magic in the Air, the myth, the mystery, and the soul of the slam dunk. Good luck with the book. It's fascinating. We really appreciate you spending time today, Mike. And
I'll see you this summer, Mike.
Will you?
Dude, this has been great. Thank you both so much. You're the best. Chuck, I'll see you down the shore, man.
Hey, always double down on 11, no matter what the deal is showing. I'll be there.
You got it.
That's right. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Chuck and Ernie in the steam. Chuck and Ernie in the steam. Chuck and Ernie in the steam. Please keep your towel on.
He said we were going to do something different.
Yeah.
If he mean something that sucks, he was 100%.
That would fit the bill.
That would fit the. Well, hey, Cap, whoever came up with that new thing, please tell him it's
One of the great duets of all time right there. Me and the Chuckster with the steam room theme. So we
abort.
Yeah, we have reached the final segment of this installment.
What a great show today!
Welcome
back,
been.
Ernest.
It has been.
Welcome back.
I got a quiz for you based on something that was said earlier in the show. What's the name of Eric Church's new album?
Evangeline versus the Machine.
Look at you. You did
Evangeline
remember.
versus the Machine. May 2nd.
Yeah, there you go. 2 weeks. So let's
Hey,
jump
happy Easter.
Yeah.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, that's this weekend.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And hope you're able to get together with family wherever you are.
Yes.
And have a great day.
I hope you get if you grew up in Leeds, Alabama, you know you get that new Easter suit this week. Did you get a new suit?
Did you have an Easter suit?
I had every Easter got a new suit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mama, rest in heaven, and Granny got a new suit every Easter. Well, I was fly.
Yeah, I'll bet. I had a couple of Leeds mentions. The Leeds paper with the coupons for
Jill's.
For
2
Jill's.
hamburgers, 2 hot dogs, $1. We stole a bunch of them.
Okay, it's answering machine time. Call number 1.
Hello, world. This is Charles Barkley. Leave me a message.
Hi, Charles. Hi, Ernie. Hope you guys are doing well. My name is Michael, and I'm a loyal steamer from Richmond, Virginia, who's also a student at Virginia Tech. I had a quick hypothetical for both of you, and before I start, Charles, you can't say basketball. If I put you in a room with 99 other random people, for $1 million, you have to be better than all those people at one specific thing. What do you think that thing would be? Thank you guys so much. Thank you for the show. Thank you for the steam room. You guys never fail to make me laugh.
Wow, that is a
great question.
Interesting question, that's for sure.
Yeah, interesting. I would say pool.
You're that good at pool.
I used to be.
Well, I think we're talking about now. If you were in a room with 99 other people, you're better than those 99 at pool. Okay.
I went through a stage where I became like a little pool shark. I got a pool table, and I got really good at it. And then I would go down to the local pool hall and hustle for a minute. And then I got good at basketball, so I quit playing pool. So I have a pool table in my house right now. I play probably once a week.
Yeah.
Just for giggles.
Giggles. Okay.
That's right. But I'm not good at anything else, so I'd probably just say pool.
You know what? If I were in a room with 99 other people, the one thing I would be better than any of them at,
What's that?
pressure washing.
You know how to pressure wash?
I love to pressure wash. Not only am I good at pressure washing, I love to pressure wash. I have the
What do you
I have the patience to sit there for hours and pressure wash. It is the most satisfying thing in the world. So like my back patio, the stone in the back patio, it gets kind of nasty, and I will pressure wash.
Just when I thought you couldn't get any whiter than bird feeding.
Yeah.
You're a bird feeder. You got the bird camera.
Yeah.
What was that bird you brought up to me at the Final Four?
It could have been an eastern bluebird. Could have been a warbler. Kind of something.
You know what we call those where I'm from?
What?
Just a bird.
Yeah,
Just a bird.
I know.
We don't call them by names.
I know you don't.
Damn.
You should come over and watch me pressure wash one day, man. You would be amazed.
No, I'm gonna go get a root canal.
As my granddaughter Katie says, I let Katie help me a little bit one day. She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm pressure washing. Can I try it?" She did it, and she got like through a stone and got all the stuff off of it. It was white and beautiful, and she's like, "It is so satisfying." So
you're raising another generation.
That is so satisfying.
You're raising another generation.
And that's all I can say about pressure washing.
I'm just saying, you're raising another generation of nerds.
I'm trying.
That's what you're doing. Raising another generation of nerds.
Next call.
Hey, Charles. Hey, Ernie. This is Vicente, a loyal steamer from Presidio, Texas, a small West Texas town on the Texas-Mexico border. I wanted to ask, let's say each finger on one of your hands can squirt out a different liquid. What 5 liquids would they be, and on what finger?
Now that's an this is going to require way too much thought. But what kind of fluids would you want to be
Beer, tequila, vodka. Wait, beer, tequila, vodka.
Water?
Good point. Water.
Maple syrup.
Okay, I got one thumb left.
How about something that, like for snow cones?
You know what? Diet Coke.
Oh, Diet
because I got that.
So all you'd have to do is point.
Can I say?
Boom, in the glass.
You know how I'm addicted to Diet Coke.
Yes, I'm aware.
I just want to say something. I drink 10 to 15. I'm trying to get it down to single digits. I drink 10 to 15 Diet Cokes a day. But I just noticed this thing going on where they got names on the bottle. Have you seen that? They got real people names on the bottle. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I love Diet Coke. I'm not going to ramble through the damn store till I find Charles on a bottle. If you like Diet Coke, we're in the same camp. But if you're going to the store to find your name on a bottle, you're just a loser.
Next call.
Hey, Charles and Ernie. Jeff from Sunnyvale, California. Recently retired elementary school teacher, so new to the steam room, but a huge Inside fan. When I taught the young children, I was really big on character and being responsible for their actions. Had the pleasure to take my family to the Edgewood Golf Tournament a few times, and we saw how great you were to all the fans. It was just awesome. It was nice for my kids to see how kind you were to everyone. I can only imagine how hard that has to be, but you still have the time for everyone. My question is, how did you learn to be that great to people?
Well, number one, thank you for
what a complimentary call and question.
No, number one, thank you for being a teacher. And you know I love your girl, Maggie.
Yeah.
Special ed teacher. What school is that again?
Buford High School.
Buford High School. I just want to thank you for being a teacher. Man, I get so offended at celebrities who aren't nice to people. You should always sign autographs. You should always take pictures. We're the luckiest people in the world. We're so blessed to get to be able, like, I got to dribble a stupid ass basketball, make millions of dollars. And I'm not a teacher. I'm not a fireman. I'm not a policeman. I'm not somebody who's in the armed service. For me to take 30 seconds to sign an autograph or take a picture, Dr. J taught me that. Moses Malone taught me that. Like, when I see celebrities being rude, it pisses me off so bad. Dude, you ain't better than nobody. I mean, so number one, thank you for the compliment, but I'm going to always be nice to people. But these guys, like, yo, man, we play basketball. We play football. We play golf. The notion that, like, the people who actually paying your salary, you can't, like, hey, can I get a picture? Of course you can. Would you sign this with me? Of course I can. So thank you for the compliment, but man, and first of all, that's actually part of the gig. They're not paying you $30 million just to play basketball or baseball or football.
You're representing that franchise.
You represent your sport and that franchise, but also I represent Dr. J, Moses Malone, Bobby Jones, Bill Russell, Bill Walden, the guys who came before me, who were, I know Dr. J was a better player. I know Bill Walden was a better player and Bill Russell. And we're making all this money because of those guys. To take a couple seconds to sign autographs and take pictures is the best thing you can do.
No, it can mean the world to somebody. And also on the conversely, and I didn't know if you were going to say, oh yeah, I had a episode where I asked somebody for something and he blew me off. But it was like those moments can form an opinion, not an opinion, but just your perception of somebody. And you talked about Maggie in Beaufort High School. I remember taking Maggie to a PGA tournament event one day, and she wanted to get some autographs. Mm-hmm. And she was, she's 9-10 years old. So she gets in this group of other kids, and here comes a player off the course, and I'm not going to name the player, but he's signing, and it's great. He's signing, and Maggie had her own Sharpie. So Maggie gives him the piece of paper and also, puts the Sharpie out here, and he looks at her and says, I already got a Sharpie. I don't need that.
I guess he bogeyed that hole.
Man. And every time this guy came on TV from that day forward,
she hates him. She
was like, oh, I hope he hits it in the water. So it does have that effect. Somebody who does get it is Nikola Jokic, and he's the subject of this.
Really?
Yes, good for the soul.
EJ is good for the soul.
I think that would be a great way to end the show.
Love that idea.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast to my big brother George, the richest man in town.
Would you rather have $1,000 cash or a mystery shoebox?
Shoot. I have to pick the shoes.
The mystery basketball shoes?
Yes.
Over the money?
Yes.
It's $1,000.
I want the shoes.
What's your name?
Khalil.
What's your dream?
To be in the NBA because my favorite player ever is on the team.
Who's your favorite player?
Jokic.
What's it say on them?
Nicole Jokic.
These are the new Jokic shoes.
Yes! Thank you.
You're so welcome, man.
You're the best.
Have you gone to a Denver Nuggets game before?
Never ever in my life.
So what would you tell Jokic if you could say anything to him right now?
Do you think I'm your #1 fan? I watch every basketball game.
There's one more surprise.
In it?
Check the box.
Ah!
What's that?
On behalf of 361 Sport, you are going to the game.
You're going to meet Nikola. What would you do with the money?
I don't want any more money and I want to give it to my mom.
Oh no, that's so amazing.
It'll all go towards you and your brother. Love you, buddy. What's the one thing Mama tells you?
Daddy.
I love you guys.
I love you.
You want free shoes?
What's your name?
Khalil. Yeah.
You have a little thing that like it.
I like watching the Denver Nuggets games. I'm wearing the same shoes you are.
You see?
Can I get a hug?
Yes, of course. You kind of look alike, I'm not gonna lie.
I'll never forget this day as long as I live. Thank you.
Best day of my life.
A TikTok video worth sharing. That's for sure.
You know, man, it's so much good out there. The bad is really loud, and we get overwhelmed at times. But stuff like that, man, makes you feel good.
Find the good and celebrate it.
Yes.
And on that note, we wrap up.
The playoffs are here, Ernie.
Yes, they are. The NBA playoffs. Next time we're together,
yes.
They will be in full swing.
Yes.
So,
I cannot wait, man. It's gonna be. There's some intriguing first round series.
Yep.
Knicks, Pistons.
Oh yeah.
I tell you, Pacers.
Denver Clippers.
Pacers, Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean.
Golden State, Houston. There's going to be some good ones. Cannot wait to watch that and bring it to you on
Thanks
TNT.
for being in the steam room, everybody.
Thank you, loyal steamers. See you next time.